When Seth walked in, he found Ava at the kitchen island, sifting through a stack of documents. Nearby, Clara was perched on a stool, one long leg propped up as she'd painted her toenails, oblivious to the fact that her short skirt had ridden high up her thigh. When she caught Seth's gaze, she froze for a second before yanking her skirt down with a glare. "What are you looking at?" Clara snapped. Seth shrugged. "If you don't want people looking, maybe you shouldn't be living here. This is exactly what I meant about female roommates being inconvenient." "Look, I'm not asking for a lot, and I'll even pay double the rent," Clara shot back. "But I'm telling you, I like this place and I'm not moving. Besides, I travel all the time for work. I'll barely even be in Metro City, so don't worry. You have a huge apartment, why not just rent me a room?" Seth nodded and held out his hand. "Money." Clara blinked. "Wait, are you seriously asking me for money?" Any other guy would be falling over himself for a chance to spend money on her, let alone ask her for rent. This guy was unbelievable. Seth didn't move a muscle, his hand still extended, waiting. Clara pouted and pointed a perfectly manicured finger at Ava. "Why don't you make her pay rent?" "She doesn't make much, and she agreed to do all the housework. Can you do that?" "If so, your rent's free too," Seth replied without missing a beat. For Clara, it wasn't about the money, it was the principle. Having a man demand payment from her was a direct hit to her ego. Gritting her teeth, she slapped a thick wad of $100 bills into Seth's hand with a huff. Once the cash was counted, Seth disappeared into his room for a nap. Clara stared at his retreating back, looking like she wanted to throw something sharp at him. Ava's calm voice floated over from the island. "A honey trap won't work on him. I already tried." Realizing Ava had read her mind, Clara crossed her arms. "I just can't believe a man exists who's immune to me. I have successful businessmen and foreign princes lining up for a chance, and this guy has the nerve to ask me for rent. I'm going to teach him a lesson." Ava chuckled softly. "Tried that too," she said. "Sent my agency's top fighter after him yesterday. The guy came back so bruised I think he's questioning his entire career path." Clara, peeling an orange in her casual sundress, stood up and walked over to Ava. "We can't just let him walk all over us like this," Clara said. "Come on, Ava. We're beautiful. Guys fall all over themselves for us. Why are we letting this one get away with treating us like we're invisible? We need to fight back. Let's find some dirt on him. We'll see how high and mighty he acts then. Don't get that on the floor." "I just cleaned," Ava replied, her tone flat. Clara shot back. "Seriously, I'm over here trying to strategize, and you've already thrown in the towel? We need to teach him a lesson. Put him on the defensive for once." Ava quietly organized the files for a case she was working on. "Trust my detective instincts on this," she said. "Seth Kramer is not a simple guy." Clara's eyes flickered. "What do you mean?" Ava pulled Seth's personnel file from a drawer and slid it across the table. "This is his file. Besides 8 years in the Army, there's nothing remarkable about his record." Clara glanced at it and pouted. "Then why the big warning? The first time I met him, I was walking out, totally expecting him to stop me, ask me to stay, and nothing. He just let me go," Ava explained. "At first I figured he was playing hard to get, acting all cool so I'd chase him. But I was wrong. He genuinely could not have cared less. And I was furious, just like you are now. You're angry because he's not drooling over you like every other guy. So I tried to even things out. I lured him to the precinct for dinner and planned to let the other cops who have crushes on me rough him up a bit. However, I must admit that the guy's skills are astonishing, and he's unnervingly calm. Seth went head-to-head with my precinct's top officer. Marksmanship, combat, you name it. He absolutely destroyed him in every category the guy prided himself on. I think my partner had an existential crisis right there on the shooting range," Clara sneered. "So he can shoot and fight? Big deal. My dad's bodyguards can do that. If that's his profession, shouldn't he be a master at it?" "The thing that sets him apart," Ava said, "is that he has no obvious weakness." Clara asked, "Meaning?" "Look," Ava said, "let's be honest. We're considered the total package, right? But with him, it gives us zero leverage. You can count on one hand the number of men on this planet who can keep their cool with a beautiful woman right in front of them. And even if you find one, it's usually just because the temptation isn't strong enough. But he's completely indifferent to both of us. That, combined with his skills, tells me he's not just some guy. His personality, his temper, his abilities, I can't get a read on him at all. Just then, Seth walked out of his room. He noticed both women staring at him, felt their eyes lock onto him like a pair of heat-seeking missiles, and had no idea why. He just shrugged it off, grabbed a drink from the fridge, and headed to the workout room. As soon as the door closed, Ava continued, "See? Any other guy would be tripping over himself to make conversation. Seth just blew us off completely." Clara was quiet for a moment, thinking. "You know," she said slowly, a new thought dawning on her. "After all that, you don't think he's gay, do you?" Ava was stunned for a second before a slow nod followed. "You know what? I was thinking the same thing." Clara's confidence surged. "That has to be it. I have never met a straight man who wasn't interested in me. Unless, of course, he doesn't like women in the first place." "Well, why don't you go test your theory?" Ava teased. "Then use your charm and see for yourself?" Clara elbowed her with a snort. "You go. You can break out the uniform and your police baton for a little role play." When Seth emerged from the workout room again, he was drenched in sweat. He'd already finished his first drink and went to the fridge for a refill. As a soldier with honed senses, he immediately felt two pairs of eyes lock onto him again. Seth chugged his drink and turned, finding the two women staring holes through him. Then, in unison, their gaze shifted down, as if trying to figure out his reaction to two beautiful women staring at him. Clara, still in that slinky sundress, decided right then and there to settle it. Was Seth Kramer gay, or just immune to their charm? Sitting on the couch, she slowly, almost casually, began to lift the hem of her dress. Then, in one fluid move, she hiked it straight up to her waist. Seth, who had been taking a long sip of his drink, nearly had a heart attack. The soda he was swallowing sprayed from his mouth and nose as he erupted into a fit of coughing. Clara immediately sat up, smoothed her dress down, and sauntered back to her room with a snort. As she passed Seth, she shot him a look of smug satisfaction. After he finally caught his breath, Seth wiped his mouth and asked Ava what Clara's problem was. Ava had already finished her paperwork and was heading to her room as well. As she passed him, she glanced down at his pajamas and muttered one word: "Animal." "What?" Seth was completely lost. Did they both hit their heads or something? He wondered. Both of them were acting incredibly strange. After he finished his soda, he glanced down at himself and cringed. The reaction in his soft sweatpants was pretty damn obvious. Seth thought back to the flash of Clara lifting her dress, revealing the spandex shorts she wore underneath. He hadn't even seen anything, and he'd still reacted to a pair of spandex shorts? How humiliating. He felt like Clara had just played him for a fool. He shook his head and sighed. So much for basic human trust. Later that night, at the police station, after conferring with the families, the lawyers with the 12 rich kids chose a representative to call the Department of Public Safety, bypassing the local precinct entirely and going straight to city headquarters. The call was taken by the deputy director of the Metro City Agency himself, who immediately buzzed his secretary. "Tell me what you know about the 12 people being held at the East Side Precinct," the deputy director asked. "Sir, my phone's been ringing off the hook about that," the secretary replied. "I did some digging. Word is the director himself told the East Side Precinct to handle it internally. Basically, he's telling them not to release anyone." The deputy director's brow furrowed. "Is that so?" The deputy director set the document down. "You have the details on this?" he asked his secretary. The secretary nodded, lowering his voice. "Someone's already been in the commissioner's ear, trying to get him to lean on the station to let those rich kids go. But the director shut it down. Said those spoiled brats showed zero respect for our officers on patrol. His point is, patrol officers are still cops, and the precinct sent over ironclad proof of what went down. Besides, this thing is all over the news. For the department's reputation, we can't just bury it. It has to go through the proper channels. The deputy director sighed, pulled a file on the patrol officer involved. He knew the director. This kind of mess usually landed on his own desk. The big boss rarely handled it himself. Something felt off. He got up and walked straight to the director's office. After a quick knock, the muscular, middle-aged man inside looked up from a small hand mirror and smiled. "What can I do for you?" The deputy director smiled back. "It's a little strange to see you go out on a limb for a rookie." "You're overthinking it," the director said, his tone dismissive. "The whole thing is public, and the officer was clearly in the right. We can't play favorites. The ones who need to be locked up get locked up." "I understand," the deputy nodded. "That was way too clean. It'd be weirder if there wasn't something else going on. This patrol officer had to have some serious connections." He thought. On the other hand, Seth was too lazy to change, so he went to dinner still in his uniform. Ava leaned forward, her eyes full of curiosity. "So, you're really a cop?" Seth glanced at her, giving her a look that screamed, "No, impersonating one is a felony." Clara's voice chimed in. "You should be a traffic cop." Ava nodded immediately. "I agree." Seth chewed on a piece of steak. "Why?" "Because you're so stone-faced and by the book," Clara said. "You'd give a supermodel a ticket without even batting an eye. You'd get promoted in no time for busting your quota every single month." Seth almost choked on his food. Just then, a faint, annoying buzz reached his ear. Frowning, Seth caught a glimpse of a fly out of the corner of his eye. In a sudden, fluid motion, his chopsticks shot out and plucked it right out of the air. Both women froze, completely shocked. Their eyes automatically snapped to his chopsticks, where they saw the fly, still buzzing, caught neatly between the tips. Even Seth was surprised.
Wait, that's not the end. You've just had a free taste. Now get the full story on the Pocket FM app, link in description. Check out our next video and playlist, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.